Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have a model that I am beyond hyped to take a look at because this is something that is only my second chance ever to take a look at this artist's work here on my channel, and that's very exciting because I was a massive fan of the first model I acquired from him. And I apologize if I mispronounce his name because I don't know that I said it correctly the first time either. Rene Dissieux. And I think I'm just going to continue to refer to him as just Rene so I don't continue to butcher his name. But you can see we've got a 1/35th scale Kronosaurus, and it's awesome. Beautiful looking sculpt on the Kronosaurus itself. And I love the base that we have here, as we have like some very cool seagrass and stuff down here. Really nice kind of ocean floor sort of a setting that we've got going on here. And you can see the pose of the Kronosaurus. Very dynamic. Really impressive as a whole. So definitely excited to get some paint work on this one. Definitely excited to find out what it's going to look like when it's finished. But on top of this, this was actually printed and of course sent my way by Medium Master. And speaking of Medium Master, one thing I'm lucky enough to have a preview of is Medium Master's UV light curing putty. This is something he's going to be using a Kickstarter to fund potentially, and there's like a few little holes on this, as you can see. Well, you don't see it yet, but you'll see as we get a closer look that I'm going to actually use this to fill, and I'm also going to be probably using this on a lot of other models that I'll be building and painting in the future as long as this lasts, and then I'll have to try to get some more from Medium Master. But I'm very excited to actually see how it works and how decent it is and everything, and I'll let you guys know, of course, after I seal those areas up if this stuff works pretty nicely. But I'm certain if it's from Medium Master, it's going to work well, because so far everything that I've acquired from Medium Master has been fantastic, and you can see exactly the same can be said as far as the print quality of this gorgeous Kronosaurus. So without further ado, let's jump to a closer look at it right now. Now we of course will begin with the Kronosaurus itself, and you can see again the Chronosaurus is gorgeous as far as not only the sculpt but the positioning, the pose, and everything looks great. We've got a really cool dynamic pose here for the Kronosaurus. You can see the mouth is very much so wide open, razor sharp teeth on our Kronosaurus for the lower jaw. Same deal for the teeth there on the upper jaw. And if you look at the detailing there on the inside of the mouth, you can see it looks great up there as well. But definitely a really nicely sculpted Kronosaurus. You can see the nostrils up here on the top of the snout. You can also see the eye is sculpted. And if we get nice and close, you can see what the fine detail looks like. You can see it's gorgeous, honestly. Really nice overall texturing to the skin. Nice structure to the head of our Kronosaurus in general. I just bumped the camera. As we lead back, again, you've got really nice, really fine skin texture to the Kronosaurus, but it looks great. You've got very small kind of creases and everything here in the skin. I really feel like it's going to come to life in the best way possible once we add some paint work to it. You've got all kinds of creasing there around the front flipper here as we lead back, which is very nice detailing in that area as well. You can kind of make out the spinal column here moving along the back of the Kronosaurus. As you lead out into the flipper, again, it looks absolutely exceptional as far as the fine detail and the general appearance goes. Same deal here for the underside of the flipper here of our Kronosaurus. And as you lead down here to the underside, you can see a big open area here, and that's because this is attached to the base with a clear peg, so that's where you would put that peg. But as you move back here a little bit further into the body, you can see again the twist to the body of the Kronosaurus, because it's got the body somewhat twisted as it apparently is hunting, or at least that's the way it seems to me. The rear flippers here you can see are both kind of upward facing, and that shows off the swimming motion and swimming movement of our Kronosaurus very nicely. You can see again the creasing there in the flipper as we lead down to the body. Same deal here for the upper side moving along, and then you lead out here into the tail, of course, of our Kronosaurus, and that as well looks great. Again, really nice texturing. If you get nice and close, I think you can really appreciate how nice the texturing looks. But of course it'll look a lot better once we get some actual paint work on it, and I'll try to bring out that texturing as nicely as I can. And then as you lead over here, you can again see that the sculpt looks great. One thing that I think is really cool, you can see an injury here on the upper jaw. Same deal down here. So if the mouth were closed, you would see that that injury at some point had happened where it slit right across. both the upper and lower jaw. There's actually 2 slices here on the lower jaw, and I like that as well. Really nice touch on the part of Rene to add that bit of realism to the model. As you move back into the neck, you can see a big bulky neck, nice tensing there in the neck as well, and again, absolutely incredible looking skin texture as you continue to move through. And this also not only shows you how incredible of an artist Rene is, but how good the print quality is from Medium Master. And we have some more of that creasing again as we lead down into the flipper here on this side. Another little injury right there on the flipper. Love those little added bits of realism. There may have even been some injuries on the opposing side I didn't even notice, because again, the model just has that much detail and sculpt to it. But as you lead down here along the side of the animal, you can again see the twist in the body, and then you lead up here, you can see again the rear flipper as well as we lead out to the tail. And this is one of the spots again that I'm going to use the putty to kind of cover up, and I think that's just, he had sent me the putty, asked me to check it out and see what I thought of it, and this is just the perfect opportunity to leave that stuff on here so that I can cover that up to see how good the putty works. So I'll be very intrigued to see again how it works once we apply that there and see if we can make those areas disappear completely. But absolutely incredible Kronosaurus. I am just over the moon hyped to get some paint on this. And then we've got the base here for our Kronosaurus, and you can see again kind of like some rocky structures or something here at the bottom of the ocean, and that looks really nice as far as the fine detail goes. One thing about Rene is he goes above and beyond when sculpting his models, takes a lot of time to make sure it turns out as perfect as possible, and you can definitely see that here. As you move through the course of the model, everything is as highly detailed as it could possibly get, looking like a real genuine piece of the ocean floor. It is that impressive. We also have like some little sandy areas over here, which is really cool. And then you've got like this seagrass here popping out, and you can see there's just so many of them here. It's going to be pretty interesting to paint these guys, but I'm definitely up for the task. I'm really quite intrigued to see how this is going to turn out. I feel like the base itself is actually going to take more precision and paintwork to finish than the model of the Kronosaurus, but it'll absolutely be worth it when we get a chance to look at the final product and the finished model again when it's fully done. Here you can see the seagrass looks absolutely awesome. But we also have one little tiny bit here to take a look at, and that's the peg. And you can see Medium Master has printed the peg out with a clear resin, which is really cool because now it's going to kind of like almost look invisible, or at the very least look like water here for our Kronosaurus. So I love when you have any type of a marine species. I love the inclusion of a clear peg. I think it just works the best. So let's go ahead, get some paintwork on this, and we'll check it out from there. So here is my finished and painted version of the Kronosaurus, and I'm really quite happy with the way it turned out. You know, I didn't really have any specific inspiration or anything for the color scheme. I just kind of went off of, you know, my thought process of what looked natural, what looked like it could potentially be the color of a Kronosaurus, and I just kind of started painting and then saw where it took me, and that's basically the only way that I got to this point. So no real inspiration or anything for the paint scheme or color scheme, but I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. You know, I think again it looks naturalistic for the most part, and overall helps to give the Kronosaurus a pretty cool look, and that is pretty much all I was going for. So if that's how I feel about it, then I guess I you know, did an okay job. But hopefully you guys can let me know in the comment section if you think that the paintwork turned out okay on the Kronosaurus, if you think it looks, you know, naturalistic and overall like a coloration that you could potentially see on a marine reptile like this. But the sculpt of this from Rene is again absolutely gorgeous. Like definitely one of the coolest Kronosaurus models that I have in my collection, no doubt about that. And you can see I gave it a nice kind of a glossy look, so it looks like, you know, it's wet, because that's exactly what you would want for a scene like this. And then we've also got the base here, and the base was pretty fun to paint as well. I actually painted the base before I painted the Kronosaurus, and I think it's just because I was kind of intrigued to actually paint a base like this, because I've never really painted a whole lot when it comes to like underwater scenes, and specifically I've never really painted something that kind of would resemble the ocean floor, so I was pretty excited to try my hand at that, and I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out as well. I was also intrigued to see how all this seagrass was going to look when it comes to painting it, because, you know, it's not like the easiest thing in the world to reach, and I was intrigued to see how easy it would be or how complicated it would be, and it was actually pretty easy. Definitely, again, like I said, a really fun paint up for sure. Definitely something that I enjoyed, especially kind of painting out the sand and stuff was pretty fun. And I'm also, again, pretty happy with the final product as far as the base goes, to go with this absolutely gorgeous Kronosaurus. And then the way to, of course, apply your Kronosaurus to the base is to slide the clear peg up into the bottom of the Kronosaurus. Then you just have to find that spot on the base, if the fins of the Kronosaurus weren't getting in my way, and slide that down. And then you can maneuver your Kronosaurus around to display it in any position you want. You know, you can have it swimming over the seagrass there, or you can have it swimming away from it. You know, it can completely turn around and position itself basically wherever you would like. But I actually kind of like it where it's like sort of swimming over the seagrass. I don't know why, I just really like that spot right there. But as far as a size goes, for a length on our Kronosaurus from the tail to the snout, you're looking at about 9 3/4 inches, approaching 10 inches, or about 25, closing in on 25.5, but not quite there, centimeters. And then for a height, the highest point, of course, would be the tail here, but actually, you know what? It might be this flipper. So about 6 3/4 inches, or right around 17 centimeters. Now, of course, that's just the height with the Kronosaurus on the base. If it were laying flat down here on the ground, that would be a pretty big difference in height. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Rene Kronosaurus. And you can see again, it's got a pretty darn nice size, pretty impressive size. At 1/35th scale, you know, it's definitely an impressive enough size that it really stands out for sure, especially in comparison to all of these other figures here next to it. And then when it comes to the randoms, just to kind of cover our bases here, we've got a Mattel Velociraptor and Mattel Dilophosaurus standing next to our Kronosaurus. We've also got the Safari LTD Tyrannus, Schleich Diabloceratops, and Collectate Deluxe Dimetrodon stepping in for yet another comparison next to our Kronosaurus here. We've also got a comparison here next to the PNSO version of the Kronosaurus, which you can see is definitely a bit larger as far as like general body mass, definitely a bit bigger when it comes to the PNSO version. Not the best way I'm holding it, but not too much, honestly. They're fairly similar in size, actually, but just a little bit more body mass, a little bit more size in the head area as well. Then we've got the Collectate version of the Lioplurodon here next to the Kronosaurus from Rene, as well as the Walking with Dinosaurs version from Toyway for the Lioplurodon next to our Kronosaurus. And then for one final comparison, there is the massive Collectate version of the Kronosaurus next to our Rene version yet again, to show you how big this is in comparison if you happen to have the Collectate version. And I also wanted to take a moment just kind of show you the underside here of the Kronosaurus, because I had actually filled those gaps with the Medium Master UV putty, and I must say that that is easily, let me see if I can get this on there, easily the best putty I have ever used in my life. Like, I am so sold on it, it is ridiculous, because I normally use like Tamiya putty, and it takes a while to kind of set and cure, whereas the UV putty, because you use a UV light to cure it, it's so quick. And you're not left waiting around, and in fact, I've already begun using the UV putty from Medium Master on some other models that I'm working on. So once that Kickstarter begins for the Medium Master UV putty, I really recommend anybody that's actually interested in that to take part in the Kickstarter, because if you build models like I do, that stuff is a lifesaver. You will love it, trust me. So this brand new 1/35th scale Kronosaurus from Rene is an absolute gorgeous work of art. I honestly love everything about this. The sculpt is fantastic on the Kronosaurus itself. Really highly detailed, and that's putting it quite mildly. When it comes to the detail of a Kronosaurus, I really don't know that you could find better detail anywhere. The overall accuracy of it looks great to me as well. Like, it really genuinely looks like that very distinguishable visual of a Kronosaurus perfectly. and I think he's done a great job as far as the overall appearance goes. And we also have a really cool pose for it as it's swimming along. I love the life that's just been added to it on top of everything when it comes to the flippers and everything moving. And then there's also like little injuries and everything throughout, which are also a really nice touch. So there's definitely a lot to love about the actual Kronosaurus itself. And again, we also have just in general kind of like a nice dynamic visual of the mouth open as it comes in, looking like it's probably feeding at this point in time. We also have a gorgeous base with, again, a really nice sort of ocean floor setting. We've got some nice seagrass and just, again, a really highly detailed sculpt down there. I love the fact that we have kind of like sort of rock formations down there, but we also have like sandy areas and, again, the seagrass, and everything just replicates the ocean floor so nicely. And the fact that the Kronosaurus is kind of swimming down near the seagrass almost makes you feel like that's probably why it's down there, to try to find whatever is kind of hiding in that grass and maybe sort of trying to chase it out of there to gain itself a meal, and maybe that's exactly what has just occurred, and it's now chasing after its next meal. I love the fact that we also have a clear peg because it definitely helps to give it that sort of water-like look and feel. It doesn't, stand out in an obnoxious sort of a way. So the clear peg was a great decision on top of everything. So if you are interested in grabbing one of these for yourself, and I very much so highly recommend doing so, I will include links in the description to all of Rene's different accounts where you can follow him and purchase his models. Again, definitely a huge recommendation from me if you are a fan of, Kronosaurus specifically, but just overall marine reptiles. This is definitely a great model to add to any collection. So if you are interested, make sure you check the links that I will include in the description. I will also include a link in the description to check out Medium Master, again, so you can inquire further about grabbing some of his UV putty and, again, taking part in his Kickstarter when it begins. And also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.